Kelly was sick for a long time. She had this crazy disease, and so we knew that she wasn't going to last forever. But this is we have to make a positive out of it. We can sit around and feel sorry for ourselves and wallow in it, and there definitely were those days. But we figured that this would be a cool way to go for it, and I think she'd be proud of the beer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside, the out and about episodes that we're recording while we could do them. Today we are in Bell's Corners in Ontario. Joining me is Paul from Kichesippi Brewing.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for hosting this morning. Really appreciate you taking time into your schedule to speak with us about your brewery and your beers.
Absolutely, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so let's. You brought us out some great looking beers here to try. What's number one we're going for?
Number one is our Highwater. It's our German Helles, and it's our number one selling beer, and it's just a nice, great, refreshing beverage.
Perfect. A toast.
Nice.
That is a delicious Helles lager. This is what, 4.5%, 5%?
You're at 4.8.
Okay.
4.8. Yeah. Our original brewmaster is German trained. Our current brewmaster is German trained. So having some nice crisp lagers is definitely a big part of our brand.
Yeah, that's a pretty fantastic summer beer. That's something I could see myself on your patio.
Yeah, very crushable.
Very crushable. It's a delicious beer. So what's the beer story? What created the Kichesippi brand?
I was in the beer business for a long time. Started out at Alexander Keith's out in Halifax. Great job when I was at university. Was the Keith's rep on campus. It was a pretty sweet gig. They had offered me a full-time job to stay there in Halifax. But my eventual wife wanted to move to Ontario. So I said, look, you're pretty hot. I should probably follow you up to Ontario. Got out of the beer business for a while, and then joined with Labatt, and then had a very interesting journey working for Labatt, working for Pepsi, working for Smirnoff, working for Sleeman, and then working for some small little import companies. And then around 11, 12 years ago, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of selling everybody else's stuff. I think we can do this. I've got enough experience, and we decided to go for it late to 2009, and I sold our first keg April 2010.
It's quite the journey you went on.
Yeah.
So
yeah, lots of beverages along the way. It was a great learning process.
Yeah.
And there's some people that tend to come from the home brewing side. I definitely come from the sales and marketing side, and we were selling some import beers to our customers, and the customers said, look, we're getting more requests for local beer. Do you have anything local? And we said, no, we don't, and we decided let's make something local. So.
Yeah, we've always been big proponents ever since we got into craft beer about like, hey, let's drink local, The big guys already make enough money off everybody else. Let's spend our money on the local guys. Yeah. So I know I visited your old place. It was like a warehouse from what I remember. This is very new to me. So
yeah, so we started moving in here. We took possession January 2019, and then eventually got open in July 2019. And the old brewery was, the dead end road of an industrial park on the way to nowhere. Like if you came in, you should have been given a hug because it was nobody ever said, oh, I was walking by. It just didn't happen. Yeah. But now we've got, it's an old Volkswagen dealership. So we've got about 80 seats inside the tap room, 100 seats outside. Lots of parking, lots of bikes. We're right beside the Trans-Canada Trail. If you fall off the Trans-Canada Trail, you fall off the trail, you'll end on the patio. On days like today, a beautiful sunny day, we'll have more bikes here than we will cars, which is great.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really good spot since almost, I guess, just about 2 years now.
It's beautiful because I find this region with Bell's Corners now, it's like you have Conspiracy and Whippersnapper down the road. I'm sure there's probably one or two more in production for all you know. So
for sure, that's the great thing. I'm happy to see, if breweries open up, all I want to see is them making great beer, because they're making great beer. It's going to help the industry. So the last thing I want is to see is somebody saying, oh, I had a craft beer at such and such a brewery. It wasn't very good. Therefore, all craft beer is not good. So if they're going to open up and make some great beer, it's going to help us out.
Now, you've already had quite the journey in the beverage industry in general as marketing and other things. But creating the Kichesippi brand, any kind of roadblocks or difficulties or kind of like government issue that you had creating the current brew pub, but not just the old warehouse as well? For sure, yeah.
I was truly ignorant on stuff. Because when we opened up the old brewery, we had bought out Heritage Brewing. So we contract brewing with Heritage. That was April 2010, and then ended up buying them out in December 2010. And I quickly learned that I knew how to sell beer, but I did not know how to run a brewery.
Okay.
And we got behind on our provincial taxes because I didn't know I had to pay them. So it was for a few months. People were like, they call us up and like, you owe us this money. I'm like, who are you? I didn't know this was a thing. So very steep learning curve. Made a lot of mistakes early on, and what we found is even though the old brewery had some good guts and it was a very functional brewery, as things changed and you open up a tap room and you could do the buy the glass licensing, we definitely we needed to make a change because we were falling behind and losing a lot of opportunity because everything was a backdoor sale. It was make the beer, stick it on a truck, and deliver it to somebody else. But there was no way the customer could come and enjoy the Kichesippi experience at our place because it just wasn't set up for that.
I remember somebody told me you guys almost just started canning because there was still a lot of growlers in your fridge when I went to your old location.
Right.
And we're from Montreal, so bringing growlers back and forth is a bit of a pain in the butt. So when I saw you guys were in cans, I'm like, oh, now I'm happy. I can grab a 6-pack and go back and, hit you guys, hit Nita, hit Whippersnapper, hit like as many as I could in the region.
For sure.
For an Ottawa day trip from Montreal, and then just drive back with a trunk full of beer. So
yeah, so the Highwater, the one that we're trying now, was the first Ottawa beer in a can back in 2013, I think. So that was the first wave of cans to come through, and as you see now, it's all cans all the day, right? So
yeah. Was it a big shift switching from growlers to cans?
We actually did bottles for a while too. So with growlers was just how can we get product out to the customers as quickly as possible? And then we did 6-packs of our Natural Blonde and our 1855 in the LCBO. The packaging costs were tremendous, so we decided let's not do that long term. So switching over to cans, it was just, we were doing growling and canning and bottling, and it was too much equipment, too much maintenance. So we said we have to streamline it and just go focus on the cans.
Can itself, I'm a huge fan of, just the convenience and the recyclability of it. Like, it says you're a zero waste taproom, which is huge. So it's let's kind of keep it all going and keep the environment healthy. And I read a study, something like 85% of aluminum ever created is recycled.
Yeah.
So
I think the beer industry as a whole needs to do a better job of patting themselves in the back. Right? It's an all natural product. It's as you say, like we're making the beer. All of our grains are going to farmers. They're coming to pick it up. Highly recyclable materials. And I think we need to wave that flag a little bit better as an industry, to people to say, look, this is a very responsible business, a very responsible industry, environmentally. Look, again, we're right beside the Trans-Canada Trail, so we need to take care of our environment. Otherwise, it's not going to be as beautiful and pretty for people to enjoy and then come to our place afterwards for a beverage. So
yeah, just the drive from the 417, it's just beautiful forest, and then all of a sudden there's the Amazon distribution center, and then it's more forest.
For sure.
It's great. Awesome. I love hearing that. And like you said, recycling the grain, giving them to farmers. I'm sure they return the favor with, oh, here's some pig that ate the grains,
for sure.
and here's some bacon.
There's some nice little produce that shows up from time to time, which is great. But in the end, it's saving us money because otherwise I'd have to throw that out and pay for that to be thrown in the landfill.
Yeah. Or
that's not good to
composting.
anybody. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys switching from taproom sales to all these cans all of a sudden because of the pandemic must have been pretty wild for you.
It was a challenge. We moved into this place to have about 80, 90 people sitting in here enjoying a beer, and this turned into a warehouse. This is it's way too pretty to be a warehouse.
Yes.
And it's way too expensive space to be a warehouse, but that's what we need to do to survive over the last year. So the pandemic has been crazy for everybody, and it was the best thing about it for us is an opportunity to learn, what we're good at, what we're not good at, and can we be nimble and adjust. So it's been great.
Kichesippi, very unique name. Where'd you guys come up with that?
Yeah, so there's I love the name, but the name also drives me crazy because it's people can spell it up in 20 different ways, and Google
as we did
for
trying
sure,
to find
for
it.
sure. And Googling this can be a challenge from time to time. So Kichesippi, we wanted years ago. We were like, okay, how can we? My wife said, I want to create. She was a proud Nova Scotia girl. I want to create the Keiths of Ottawa. Like when you're in Nova Scotia. Alexander Keiths is part of the brand and part of the experience in Nova Scotia. And back then, it was just the Clock Tower Brew Pub, and we were the only brewery back in 2010. So it was like, how can we create a brand that is synonymous with the Ottawa experience? And so our goal was, you want to go to the Parliament buildings, go to the canal, and have a Kichesippi beer. That's what we feel if you're in town for the weekend. And so it was like, okay, we don't want to be like Capital, Carlton, Rideau, too obvious kind of thing. And Kichesippi is an Algonquin First Nations word. Okay. Kitcha is great, Sippi is river, so it literally means the Great River, which is what the Ottawa River was known as. So it's the Kichesippi people, the First Nations people from Morrison Island, up the Ottawa River. So it was a very, if you're here, you know the name. If you're not from here, you have no idea what it means. So it's definitely tough to spell. But it's people always say I don't know how to say it. It's pretty phonetical. But yeah, it's not an English word because it is a First Nations word. And yeah, so it just means the Great River.
So it's beer number 2 we're trying here.
Yes, beer number 2, 1855. So we brewed 1855 as a first anniversary present to ourselves. It is an amber ale at 5.2%. We're got about 30 IBUs on there. And so 1855 is the year that Ottawa was born. So Ottawa became Ottawa on January 1st, 1855.
Ah, cool.
Everything's about a story today, so a lot of stories.
A toast?
Yes.
Ooh, that's tasty.
Yeah, this was our best. This is number 2 for us. Highwater is our number 1 seller. 1855 is number 2. Again, our people watching today can see the front of the cans, but as you can see on the back of all the cans, there's a story on the can. So everything for us, it's not just like, hey, I got drunk, I thought of this cool beer name. Everything has a story. Everything's about something. We love telling stories. And yeah, people always, people come in and say, I want the 1864 beer, I want the 1823 beer, I want the 18. Sometimes they don't get the number right, but they know what they're asking for. And yeah, for us, it's a nice little simple story of we're proud of our Ottawa roots. We're proud of telling a little bit of history. And Ottawa became Ottawa on 1855. So we thought it was a great name for a beer.
And you guys have some pretty unique names. Where do some of them come from? Warrior Woman, 1855. The Hell's Lager. Where'd you guys come up with those names? Where'd you guys come up with the labels? How does that creative process all kind of exist?
All the names most tie into it's either Ottawa, my family, or the staff. So Hell or High Water is again a nod to the river because we think we're hilarious. Hell or High Water. So it worked out well. Whether it's being a Hellas or a Heller. Again, 1855 we'd say was the beginning of when Ottawa was born, and Warrior Woman was for my wife. So Warrior Woman is actually our 3rd beer. We'll try in a little bit. But yeah, so North Shore is another new one we've got going on right now. Our New England style IPA. That's part of our staff pick program. So we go in order of seniority. So when you're up in terms of I've been here the 6th longest, 7th longest, 8th longest, they get to pick a beer and they brew the beer. And so Danny's from proud Nova Scotia roots and wanted to do something to honor his relatives in North Shore of Nova Scotia. So everything for us comes back to a story. So.
And the story, like creating the stories on the back of the labels, what made you guys decide, like, hey, let's read a bit, find out about the region, find out about the history of this beer? Right. What made you decide to put that on the back of the cans? Well,
we thought that was, if we wanted to be synonymous with an Ottawa experience, we figured we wanted to tell those stories, and it's not just a, hey, let's just make a beer because we think it's a great idea. We want to tell people, what was our inspiration for that beer and what was our inspiration to go down that road. Like the zany that we did is definitely off the page for us in terms of a double dry hopped IPA, but we had a great opportunity to work with our friends at Charles Farm. They said, look, we've got these Harlequin hops, we're not sure what they can do. You want to give it a go? So we should, sure. So that was for us was let's do a little collaboration with some great supplier. So it doesn't fit into that Ottawa story, family story, but it definitely is part of great people we love to work with kind of story. So yeah, we just felt it was a very natural thing to put the story in the back of the can, and I couldn't imagine not doing it. So. Because again, it's not just a, hey, let's just make this beer for the sake of making this beer. We like it to be about something. So
very cool. And in the arts, do you have a graphic designer that does all your art, or is that your own creativity? Like, who does the art of the cans? Yeah. Art in the house or in the tap room in general is all over the place. You have your beautiful kind of mural on the side, and you have all the other things. You have rowing paddles, a bat, an axe. Like what made you come up with all that stuff here?
Yeah, so for us, all the design on the cans and the graphics in the tap room comes out of a great little company called Character Creative. Jamie's a good Cornwall, Ontario boy now in Ottawa. I got a wonderful team. So often with the cans, I'll say to them, look, here's the story, here's the concept for the beer, and here's what I'm thinking in terms of an imaging. But sometimes I'm like, I got nothing, so you need to go with it on this one. But often I go to the picture how I want this to look, or sort of a theme of where I'd like it to go. But yeah, in terms of the tap room and the feel, it's very different, right? Like a lot of tap rooms you'll see is very dim and dark and more casual, and we just with being in an old showroom, we needed to not make this feel like an office anymore where we used to buy Volkswagen Beetles, but also be very comfortable and bright, right? We've got these huge windows and huge ceilings. So yeah, it's a very friendly place. The paddles, as you say, is sort of the paddle, like that paddle right there is just literally coming off the Hell or High Water can. So it's like, we've got these beautiful walls. Let's put some stuff on there. So whether it's a canoeing paddle, a kayaking paddle, a brewing paddle, we've got a cant hook, for our boom from the old log boom days. And yeah, the baseball bat. We really enjoy working with the active lifestyle community. So we were a sponsor of the Ottawa Champions baseball team, which was a lot of fun. We made the Champs Light for them, which was a great beer. And so we really enjoy being part of that active lifestyle, and it's a good part of the brand, and it also helps take up a lot of white walls in this big space.
Yeah. Oh, you're very community driven, which is very important.
Definitely.
You guys are supporting a constantly. I know it's just hitting the same nail on the head every time, but support local, keep buying local,
sure.
Keep you guys obviously doing community benefits for local. It's just local. So
yeah, that's what's having this space now has been really nice to do some really fun events. Events that sounded crazy but turned out really, really great. before COVID, we had a really fun event in here. We did a bingo night. But instead of just doing regular bingo, we did it on Galentine's Day. So Valentine's Day is the 14th, but Galentine's Day, I'm getting together with my friends because I don't have a date. We did it on the 13th, and we're like, how can we turn this into a fun night? So instead of doing this regular bingo, we did sex toy bingo, and all the money raised went to the Rape Crisis Center. So it was all about healthy sexual relationships, and having some good fun with it. So hey, now we're going to play for the X, and we've got some lube, and this and that, and here's a pamphlet for having a successful threesome, and it's exactly what you're doing right now. People are laughing their butts off, but you know what? It was good to break down those barriers so people could talk about things.
Yeah.
Right? And we raised a ton of money, and we had so much fun. We did a really fun family event in here on New Year's Eve, where we did it for the kids. So we said, hey, Mom and Dad, your 6-year-old, your 8-year-old doesn't have anything to do on New Year's. Come on in. We'll do because we make our own soda pops here. Come on in. We'll give the kids a soda and a grilled cheese sandwich. We'll have a little fun music act for them. And at 9 o'clock at night, we'll do a New Year's Eve countdown. We'll throw some balloons off the top for a little Happy New Year.
Yeah.
So at 9 o'clock at night, the kids now think it's New Year's Eve. They've celebrated New Year's with Mom and Dad. They're all home by 10 o'clock, the kids are in bed, and now Mom and Dad have the rest of the night. Well, it was a sell because the parents were like, we've never had anything to do with the kids. It was so much fun, and now they felt like they can celebrate New Year's with us. They don't know what the real time is. They've gone to bed, and now we're having a great night. So it's been a lot of fun to have that opportunity to do some really cool events like that.
You have a decent amount of apartments and houses here too, so I'm sure people just hop over the road and come over, grab some beers, head home. And
we're getting petitions today. We need a crosswalk or something there, but it's
maybe a stop sign.
For sure.
I mean, I know it's pandemic times and all, but have you thought about trying to do like an Oktoberfest on your front patio or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did a small Oktoberfest in 2019. It was obviously tuned way down. It was an online thing last fall, but our Fest Marzen lager is in tanks right now. Brewmaster's really excited about it. So you'll see a 1 liter Steins full Fest Marzen Oktoberfest coming in mid-September. So
love it. Beer number 3.
Beer number 3 is our American Pale Ale, our Warrior Woman.
A toast.
There you go.
Oh. That's a very tasty IPA.
So we launched this beer we've had for about a year and a half. We first brewed this beer literally just before the pandemic. So we launched it on International Women's Day, which is March 8th, and we brewed it in honor of my wife. So I said we moved in here January 2019. My wife passed away in April 2019.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And Kelly was awesome, and we miss her. But we figured how can we best honor her? When we looked up her name years ago, Kelly in Gaelic literally means warrior woman. So we're like, that'd be a cool beer name someday. And when Kelly passed on, it was like, we need to make this beer, and it'd be a great way to honor her. So we launched Warrior Woman on International Women's Day, March 8th, 2020. Pandemic, kicked in about a week later, so it was, not the best way to launch a beer, but you do what you can do, kind of thing. And so we're really proud of this beer, really proud of the story that we tell about Kelly. 5% of the proceeds of this beer go towards charities that are working on focusing on empowerment for women. So we want to make sure that that's a great way that her legacy that can be carried on. And it's been really great. So
that's a beautiful story to hear.
Yeah.
So and very sorry to hear that your wife passed on. That's very unfortunate. So, but kind of taking a positive out of a negative is huge.
For sure. So. Kelly was sick for a long time. She had this crazy disease, and so we knew that she wasn't going to last forever. But this is we'd have to make a positive out of it. We can sit around and feel sorry for ourselves and wallow in it, and there definitely were those days. But we figured that this would be a cool way to go for it, and I think she'd be proud of the beer. I think she'd be proud of. We're going to make a beer about a woman. We didn't want it to be I didn't want it to be insulting and pandering kind of thing. She was a strong woman. She was a very independent woman. She never complained about her medical struggles. So we wanted the beer to stand up for that and really show some good strength and some good tenacity. So it was we're really proud of the beer.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Now, you guys obviously, as a team, collab a lot when it comes to charity and things like that. Have you collabed with any other kind of local people to make a beer, make a soda, make a hot sauce, make a beef jerky, anything like that?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of different things. Like we've had some great restaurants. Like my first ever recipe that one of the restaurants in Ottawa did was made a Kichesippi spice cake, sort of like a little carrot cake kind of thing. And then the guys done it at the Piggy Market, a great little independent natural food store. It always makes a nice barbecue sauce with the fresh fiddleheads every year. But we've got some really cool collaborations in process right now with some local distilleries. So the guys at Vodka, we're working on a Moscow Mule recipe with them. So using our ginger beer and their vodka. So vodka with Moscow Mule, we thought was a great fit. Yeah. We pour some beautiful Saunders Farm cider on tap here. So we're working on doing a snake bite with them. So mixing with our Hell or Highwater and the Saunders cider. So the collaborations are coming within the alcohol world, but not necessarily in the beer world. So we're really happy to work with our friends at Orleans Brewing when they did a Bach beer in support of the missing Indigenous women. So that was a really fun collab, and we got some other ones coming up too with some breweries. So
you guys obviously, like I mentioned earlier, Conspiracy Theory, Bell's in this Bell's Corner area, Whippersnapper. Have you ever thought about making a beer with those guys?
It definitely is. That's bubbling into the surface a little bit more for sure. Ian at Whippersnapper is always good to call it Beer's Corners, not Bell's Corners.
Yeah.
And I think now that Conspiracy Theory is up and going fully, and the pandemic we hope is behind us, that it definitely makes sense to do something in that area to cross promote each other and to say, look, there's three really great breweries that you could literally walk to. So yeah, that's definitely something we should probably get going on, but haven't jumped on yet. I think everybody's been so focused on how do I survive the pandemic and how do I keep my doors open. Once things start to feel a little bit more normal, I think you can see that coming for sure.
I mean, usually because you're Paul, Conspiracy Theory, just make the two balls.
True. Exactly, that's a good idea. I never thought about that.
I'm just throwing that out there. You don't have to
we'll just kick you in
attribute
out,
that to us or anything, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I remember visiting, like you said, you're on the marketing end, but your brewer, I'm sure he started just like Paul, just kind of in his garage brewing beer. Yeah. So it's pretty wild.
So our brewer is German Phil. It's interesting because he was working for me back in 2011 as a student. Just one of those, hey, I love beer and I want to be working in beer. And then went over to Germany and did the full master brewer program, working out of Fru in Kolsch, which is a pretty awesome place to learn how to brew. So that's why you see a definite German tinge, and we're very heavy lager, a lot heavier on the lager side of things than a lot of breweries, for sure. Like to have, I think we've got, there's 3 lagers on the table here right now, so that's pretty heavy for a craft brewery in terms of the lager side of things. But it's a huge part of our brand and a huge part of what we do. So having German Phil making some beautiful lagers and some beautiful Hefeweizens, and to do a German Dampf beer and stuff like that, you don't see a lot of that around. To do a Crystalweizen, you definitely don't see a lot of that around at all.
No.
That thing is not a fun beer to filter out. It definitely doesn't want to be filtered. But when you go for it, it's a great product. Yeah.
No, your beers so far have been fantastic, and I remember even back in the day when you guys first came to Cairns, when at your old location, when I brought some home, it's like, oh, these beers are delicious. They feel kind of all natural, not overly filtered in any way.
Right.
So. A very clean, consistent line you guys have. So.
Thank you. That's it. I would say the best compliment we can get is that, hey, I love this. I love drinking Hell or Water. It tastes exactly the same as it tasted a few weeks ago. That's a great compliment for us. So we want to make sure that the beers are clean, refreshing, and consistent for sure.
That, like I said, the Hell's or Highwater tastes almost the same last time I had it. I'd say 2017 maybe. Because what I personally do, living in Montreal, we're getting more and more spoiled, and now even in Ontario, you guys are getting more and more spoiled. I believe Jordan St. John, the beer author, said there's been more openings of new breweries in Ontario than there's been closings.
Yeah, there you go.
So Quebec too, we've had 4 or 5 breweries open during the pandemic. It's like, this is wild that you guys are actually launching, and some of them, 2 of them had said like it was actually a benefit to us because it allowed us more time to plan things.
Right.
Whereas yourselves, all of a sudden you have to switch to online sales and delivery, and so.
And that was the thing, and it was definitely a struggle for us because when we moved here, we took on a lot more debt. Moving here, trying to get this thing up and going. Kelly passes away. We think we're going to open in April. We don't open until July, and then 6 months later to be shut down. It was definitely not a lot of fun days. But the team was fantastic. Definitely, there was 2 jobs during the pandemic. You either made the beer or you delivered the beer. There was basically the 2 jobs. And but the team was great. And then now to see customers back again, out on the patio, in the tap room, coming into the store, it's been really good to see people again. And I know the customers are still willing to support us after the ups and downs and the challenges for sure.
So for the Ontario current rules, it's 50% in the tap room and then pretty much 6 meters outside type of thing, or is that?
Correct, 6 feet outside, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 50% in the tap room, So you can have a table of 20, and there's no limit on the tables, but 50% capacity inside, and the tables outside are 6 feet apart. But our patio is 160 feet long.
Yeah.
So I can still put 100 people on that patio. And keep everybody 2 meters apart. So it's pretty awesome.
When we pulled up and we saw like the parking lot on the side, and then all your garage doors with all the words, it's like delivery, taproom, this, and that. And then I saw the patio. I'm like, oh my god! And then you have the food truck on the side as well, which I wanted to mention is that like a rotating food truck, or is it one consistent person there?
Yeah. So they actually both. So Ed Mare, who's a great seafood truck, so he's full time. And then the Walking Tacos is the rotating truck. So Ed Mare, great little story there is that he was downtown Ottawa, right in the financial district, outside of a couple busy office buildings, and then pandemic hit. Yeah. And he said, nobody's at the offices anymore. I'm going to try and find a place, in South Ottawa or West Ottawa. I messaged him on Instagram and said, look, we've got, why don't you come out and park here and see how it goes? So he came out for a few weeks, and he's like, it was going well, but it was an adjustment because when he was downtown, it was all lunch. Yeah. And he was coming here, and after about a month or so, and he said, because remember last summer we thought the pandemic was over and the second wave hit. So when we thought the pandemic was over, I said, it's too bad you're going to be heading back downtown, so I'm assuming you're going to go back down. And he goes, no, we love it here. We'd love to stay. And we're like, really? And so it's like to say like you want to be sitting in a brewery in Bell's Corners versus downtown Ottawa. He's like, it's so much more fun for us here because I don't have to jam my whole business into 2.5 hours at lunch. Yeah. I can have some lunch and I can have an after workout. I can have it. So he's parked here permanently, and that's the other thing. Before he'd be parking downtown and driving the truck home every day. So the truck stays here. He makes some wonderful fish and chips and does some seasonal food. Right now he's on his calamari and his Nordic shrimp, and the food's fantastic. And then we've got the taco truck as well. So not everybody wants to do seafood, and the taco truck just gives that great family-friendly tacos, hard shell tacos, taco salads. It's been great. So to have two food trucks there handling the food side of things, that we can just focus on the beverages, we're loving the relationships. It's a great fit for us.
I think I already know what I'm doing for lunch after we're done talking today. So do you guys have any kind of collab beers, or have you been like, if you're going to get the seafood out there, try this beer. If you're going to get the tacos, try this beer. Like, have you?
We haven't gone down that road. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely, in terms of the seafood side of things, we definitely lean towards the lagers. The BC Light and the Highwater. I think are really good fits for that in terms of because his food is very light, very delicate. So we don't want to go too heavy. And as we know, the IPAs will cut through the fat. There's not a lot, it's very low fat offerings. So the tacos kind of think more on the IPA side to cut through the spice, and then in the seafood. And the lagers I think is a part of the benefit. But in terms of an actual straight up collaboration, we haven't gone down that road. But that's a good idea.
Yep. We throw out ideas to
this is great.
Places we like to go when we have a chance. So nice. It's great. Now I know obviously with things picking back up again, you're pretty busy, and international travel is not really an option right now. Yep. But when it's much safer to travel when you don't have to have a mask on for a 22-hour flight to, let's say, Japan or South Africa or something. Right. A beercation that you would love to go on that you've never been on before, once it's safe to travel and once you actually have the time to travel?
It's Germany for sure. So it's I used to work with the guys at Stiegel and Erdinger before Kichesippi existed. So get over there to visit those breweries would be great. So it's I'm going to be a little too obvious, but Germany, Austria, and Belgium would be the big ones for sure. So that's where and if I had to pinpoint it down, I think getting into Germany and drinking some Augustiner, Helles, right at the on Platz would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, Germany is definitely I need to go when Canadians are allowed to go to Germany again. So
I think the attraction is that beer is such a part of their culture, right? So it's not we know the beer's gonna be amazing, but the fact that it's such a huge part of their lifestyle and their culture is the thing I really want to immerse myself in and see what that feels like. So Canadians, we think we drink a ton of beer and we think that beer is a big part of our life, and it is. But it's such a huge difference over there in terms of how much of it it is a part of their life. So it's, and again they view it as a very natural drink and a very healthy drink, and everything in moderation. Mm-hmm. Yes, they get drunk from time to time, but I really am hoping to see that someday soon.
A friend of ours mentioned that it's if you get way too belligerently drunk, they kind of frown upon it when you're out there. So it's just keep control. You don't have to. I'm personally in my early 40s, so getting completely blackout drunk nowadays is just not an option.
No, for sure.
My body recovery time. So it's a lot of things have changed. So what's number 4 we're drinking?
Number 4 is Boom. So Boom is our IPA.
A toast.
Nice.
Okay, this is my favorite beer of yours so far.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so we knew that we were, if there was one thing that we were not doing well a good job of was our IPAs. We had toyed around with a couple different recipes. They were always a little safe. They were always a little, on the lower end. And it's like, we need to come out with something that's going to rip the enamel off your teeth and really knock your socks off kind of thing. So Boom IPA is that, 7.2% alcohol, 80 IBUs. The story behind Boom is, the old log booms that would come down the river. So just big power pine is the story behind all that. So Boom IPA is a new product for us, but it is a product where we've got the full support of the brewery behind in terms of, getting into the LCBO, getting into the core rotation, and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah. That's another thing I wanted to mention earlier on. Your flights are quite unique. What made you decide this versus the regular kind of paddle handle that 90, we'll say 80% now of the craft breweries have?
Because the paddle handle is stupid. It's always about to spill. It's always about to fall over. It is so hard for the staff to bring it to the table without shaking it and wobbling it.
Yeah.
In a normal world, what you would see is this would come to you, and what you can see the little paper clip here. The clip will be have your name on it. So it would say this this flight is for carp, and here are the beers, and that it becomes part of your experience. I think it presents well. I think it's really easy for the staff to bring it to the table and not be touching anywhere close to the glassware. So this was something that we were like, we need to figure out a way that I can we always joke about we can have a table with six orders and just stick a broomstick through the handle and take it all to the table. I want to try that someday to see if it actually works, because I think it could work. And we talk about our stories, and we've been talking a lot about collaborations today. There's a fantastic woman here in Ottawa named Heather Jeffries, and she owns a little company called Reform, and she is she basically does construction and design, but it's all recycled materials. So, and she also has her own laser etching company. So she makes all of our chalkboards, makes all of our signs, and made all the flights out of recycled materials, and etched the logo in there. And I couldn't be happier with the flights. I think they're great.
So I usually ask this in most places. You have a BMC, so Budmo's Coors drinker come in, and I've never had craft beer before. Blah blah blah. How, unfortunately, a lot of them are. What kind is that gateway beer or two that you're like, here, try this, and maybe you'll enjoy it?
Yeah, so we always ask the customer what they're looking for. As you say, if it's the BMC customer, we'll go with the BC Light or with the Hell or Highwater. So we don't want to freak them out too much. We want to show them that we can make a nice, crisp, light beer, make it very crisp and easy drinking, refreshing, lager. Because they don't know that they're drinking a lager and ale. They don't know what the difference is between a lager and ale. They just they don't want they're viewing flavor as being a bad thing. Where you and I would disagree. But that's our baby step. So it's like, here, try this out, and it's a pleasant surprise. So for sure, that's and it works out well. We make some really nice tight lagers, and we can get those BMC customers. We can win them over for sure. Have
you found it like a repeat customer who used to be one of those BMC guys who are like, that's it, I'm drinking Kichesippi, I'm drinking Conspiracy Theory, I'm drinking Whippersnapper, like?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. Because they viewed, they didn't know, they're ignorant in the true sense of the word, that they didn't know that a brewery could make, a local brewery could make something like that. So by giving them a little taste, by giving them a little sample, it was an opportunity for them to go, oh wow, this is good, it is consistent, it is clean. I don't want a lot of flavor, I don't want a lot of alcohol. This definitely works for me, for sure. Like BC Light, our nice light lager, is consistently, top 2 or 3 in terms of our taproom sales, for pints by the glass. So
we've already mentioned your friends at Conspiracy and Whippersnapper, obviously. Now somebody comes in, tries all your delicious beers, tries theirs beers as well. Anybody else kind of in the area or the Ottawa region, Canada, that you suggest, hey, go here?
Oh, wow, there's a lot of Dominion City makes some wonderful beers. Beyond the Pale, good friends of ours. I think Tooth and Nail's got some absolutely fantastic beer. Our friends at Big Rig make some wonderful stuff. So we're really lucky to have a lot of people that we get along with, people that we can call and say, hey, I need a bag of this, or do you need a bag of that we get stuck with from time to time. I think the great thing about going to those other breweries is they're making some different things and making some more, some pretty wild stuff as well. So we don't go off the page crazy all that much. We do stick, very traditional, very heavy IPA and lager. We got 3 stouts coming out in this fall and winter, so we love our stouts. But there's some wonderful. We're very lucky to have some really great breweries in this town, and but if I had to pick one, it's tooth and nail. I think Matt makes some absolutely fantastic beer.
We actually have them coming up, so
Nice.
that's good to
Tell
hear.
them I say hello.
Yeah, I've had their beers before. They're solid beers. I've
sure.
had no complaints. I like their little patio. Unfortunately, I had to sit kind of like on the street corner, and I'm just like, it's for a beer. I don't
For sure,
care.
exactly.
So, I'm almost willing to drink anywhere if I have to sit on the side of the road while the cars are zooming by. As long as your servers come over and serve me the beer, I don't care.
Exactly.
So it's that's my attitude when it comes to. I vote with my dollars the way
Absolutely.
I see it. So.
And it's funny you say that because people talk about like in Ontario we have the beer store, we have the LSBO and stuff like that, and people are like, whether they like the beer store or don't like the beer store. It's like, look, you can vote with your dollars. You don't have to, if you like that brewery and you would like that store, you like the concept, then give them your money. And if you don't, then give your money to somebody that you want to support, right? So it's whatever entity you choose to identify with and choose to support. It really is a democracy. Like it's they're not going to survive if they don't get your money, and they will thrive if they do get your money, right?
So with restrictions loosening, with more people being vaccinated, obviously, as myself, I look at the numbers across Canada. I find that Ottawa's doing really well. I hear Montreal, we're doing pretty decent. With things kind of like loosening up, where do you see what's next for Kichesippi?
I think what's next is really pushing forward on those collaborations we talked about. So the Moscow Mule one with Vodka is something we're really looking forward to. We launched. We had a great online Christmas program last year with some beer gift packs. We want to expand on that and hopefully sell some more in-house and not deliver as many. And getting back to more events. We had a great comedy show here at the brewery last week. Getting back to seeing people back in here. And then the Oktoberfest will be the big one. Hopefully that'll be our big a nice 3-weekend event that we can see some people on a consistent basis. So trying to get back. That normal for us is getting people, 80 people inside, 100 people outside.
Yeah.
That'll be a success for us. But things can feel like, that was why we moved here in the first place. So
yeah. That's awesome to hear. And I look forward to the future of Kichesippi as a brand as well. When I'm back out here, I like to, because obviously there's 3, like boom, boom, boom. So
for sure.
It's pretty helpful grabbing 3 pints and then relaxing because
Exactly.
I have to drive. So drinking and driving is not cool.
Not at all.
Just be responsible. Yes, I can have a beer and then drive. I can't have 3 beers and then drive right after that. So
Exactly. It's true.
It's very responsible. And you guys all being, I feel like I could leave my car here and then walk down the street
Absolutely.
and drink some beers and then come back. So that's
we get that a lot, whether it's people shopping in other stores or using the trail. People will park and enjoy the environment, and it works out great.
It's great.
Yeah.
I have no other questions. I really appreciate you taking time in your schedule to speak with us today. Let my audience know where they can find you.
Find us at kbeer.ca. The social media links are all there, but just kbeer.ca. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We don't do a lot on Pinterest. We're on a little bit on TikTok, but very, very heavy Instagram and Facebook for sure.
Awesome. So as for us, you can find us allbeerinside.com. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the notification bell and subscribe. That always helps the show. As for us, at All Beer Inside on all social media. And if you consider it, drink craft, not crap.